Brothers and sisters, today in this gospel passage, we can see a comparison that the Lord is making between two types of people. One is rich one, the other one is the poor widow. And we read, one day Jesus looked up and he saw the rich people putting their offerings. Jesus was standing opposite to the treasury benches. And then Jesus was watching everyone who is putting offerings. And that is also a symbol. Jesus knows what you are offering. And secondly, the Jerusalem temple is the richest temple in the world those days. And the most influential temple in the world. And all Jewish people has only one temple. Therefore, all of the offerings comes to that just one temple. Therefore, the Jerusalem temple has enough and more money. But still, they continue offering. Because they know whatever that they give it to the Lord. Sometimes we think, oh, church has a lot of money, why should we give? These kinds of mentality is not good. Because it is not about church, whether the church needs money or more than that, it is about consecrating your property. So when you give a small share of it, share of your income, share of your property, when you give it to the temple, you are giving it to the Lord and consecrating it. That is why, though the Jerusalem temple has enough and more money, Jesus never criticized anybody who is putting the money in the offerings. Though he knew there are a lot of misuses taking place, this money is being used by the Pharisees and Sadducees for many other purposes. But still, Jesus appreciated those people who are offering this money, offering their offerings to the temple, because the intention of the offering, the intention of the person who is offering is very important. If you think you are supporting the church by offering something, that intention is not good. Because that is purely material and worldly decision and desire. But when you give it to the church or temple, the church, when you give it to the church, if you think that you are giving to God and by doing so you are consecrating all your property, that is the true intention when you give it to God. Many a time we are choosy when we give it to God because we feel okay, we make judgments about the church, judgments about the institutions, and then accordingly give because our intention is not pure. So why these kinds of offerings are very important? Because the offerings comes, this is a tradition that is started in Jewish culture because it is written in the Bible. Everything comes from God. All what you have, that you have is a gift of God. Your property, your money, your job, your husband, your wife, your children, everything that you can think of that you have is gift of God. So therefore, God has gifted all these and you have a responsibility to give it back to God. That is why in the Bible we read there are so many examples of talents, the parable of talents, where God has distributed the talents to one person 5, another person 2, another person 1. And then after a long time he comes and asks for the account. He wants everyone to settle the account. The same way God has given us so many blessings, so many talents, so many things. Now one day God will come and ask you for the account. That means God still has the ownership. Though we are possessing it, the Lord has ownership. The owner can ask us anytime the account. The owner can take it back anytime when he wants. So this is one thing that we need to remember. That is why we give always a portion of what we have, we give it to God. By giving it to God, we are proclaiming and declaring in front of the whole universe that this belongs to God. When you say this belongs to God, then it is consecrated. In India, sometimes if you have seen, those of you who are from India, in some places, especially in North India, there is a temple cow. It is called temple cow. There are some cows you can see on the roads. Nobody will touch it, but everyone will respect it. Because these are the cows given to the temple. And they feel these cows are consecrated because it is given to the temple, and therefore they are never tied anywhere. They will just freely move around everywhere. Even on the main road, you will see walking, because they call it temple cow, because it is consecrated, it is given to God. These cows were brought up in some families, but once it is given to God, it becomes temple cow, because it is consecrated. And by giving these, they believe they all the other cows which they have will be consecrated. So, my dear brothers and sisters, almost similar kind of things of faith that you can see in the Bible too, because when we give something to God, you are consecrating not only what you give, but also what you have, because you are declaring it in front of the Lord that all what you have is from God. All what you have is from God, and it is His mercy that we have this. One day one person said, Father, if everything is a gift of God, and then if I give a tithe, do you think my whole property, all money and everything will be consecrated? So he said, Father, I have so much of salary. Every month I get so much of salary. From this salary, which is mine, I give 1/10 of my salary. I give it to the church as a tithe. Do you think my salary and my whole family my financial area will be consecrated? Then I told him, my dear brother, if you are giving the 10% of your salary, and if you give it to God, the 10%, then that 10% which you give it to God will be consecrated. The other money will not be consecrated. Then he said, Father, then what did you preach? You said by giving a 1/10, that is maybe a small amount, we are consecrating the whole family, the whole money. So then I said, yes, but there is a problem. Your attitude is different. You said the whole salary is yours and you are giving 1/10 of the salary to God. And now you want the whole salary to be consecrated. Therefore, you are giving the 1/10 to God. That is called bribery. You are trying to give a bribe to God so that the rest of 90% of your salary should be consecrated. Therefore, you are giving 1/10 as a bribery. Therefore, your 90% of your salary will not be consecrated. Then he said, Father, then what shall I do? You have to change your attitude. Then he said, what to change? What kind of attitude I should have? Then I told him, remember, if you have a salary, the whole 100% of your salary belongs to God, not yours. That you have to change. You think the 100% is yours, out of which you are so generous and you are giving 10% to God. And you are sacrificing a lot by giving 10% to God. That is what you think. That is a wrong notion. That is not correct. This salary is not yours. The whole salary belongs to God. If God has not given you authority, God has not given you a job, if God has not given you a health, if God has not allowed you to get up from the bed and move around, if God has not given you the intellectual capacity, you will never get this salary. If you got this salary, that means God has blessed you with this. And God has given you this salary. And all this 100% of salary belongs to God. But what happens here is, though the 100% belongs to God, God is giving you 90% and He's only taking 10%. That is how you should see this. Then God is so generous to you, and you are receiving 90% of the whole salary that belongs to God, and only 10% God takes it for Himself. That means when you believe this, when you have this attitude, you are consecrating the whole salary, because the whole salary belongs to God. But the way you thought initially, the whole 100% salary belongs to you, out of which you are giving 10% to God. Then remember, only 10% will be consecrated. Rest is yours. Whatever belongs to you is not consecrated. Consecrated means make it sacred. Whatever belongs to God is consecrated, because make it sacred. It is sacred. So if you believe the whole salary belongs to God, and out of which 90 is given to you, and it's a generous gift from God, and you know that this 90 which you have in your hand is gift of God and it belongs to God, then it is consecrated. Then your property is consecrated. Your finance is consecrated. Everything that belongs to you is consecrated. My dear brothers and sisters, we all should have this attitude when we come in the presence of God. That is why when Jesus was watching these people putting their offerings in the temple treasury, Jesus was watching. He was not looking at how much they give, but Jesus was looking at how they give. What kind of attitude that they have. Are they showing some generosity to God, or are they showing some gratefulness to God? This woman was so grateful to God. Out of her nothing, she gave everything. 2 penny, 2 mites. That means it is one dinar is 1 day's wage. So 2 mites, so 2 coins is a symbol of 1% of the 1 denarii. That means 1% of daily wage she offered. That is the only money she had, and she gave it to God. She could have taken 1 coin and put only 1 coin, because she has got 2 coins. She could have put 1 coin with her and another coin she could have put it in the temple. But she gave maximum. And Jesus appreciated this widow. And in the whole history, for last 2,000 years, the people appreciate this woman because she gave everything to God. She knew everything belongs to God. Even if I don't have anything, don't worry, because my God is sufficient for me. He has the capacity to give me everything. Therefore, I don't need to hold on to anything. I give everything to God. And that is how she consecrated all what she had, and Jesus appreciated her. Praise the Lord. Thank you, Jesus. Praise you, Jesus. My dear brothers and sisters, we all give. We all give to the church in the Sunday Mass collections, and many other times we give it to the Lord, give it to the ministry of the Word, give it to the ministry of the Lord. How do you give? Are you so worried about how much you give? Or are you worried about how you give? Are you consecrating only what you give, or are you consecrating all what you have? If you have an attitude of gratitude, thinking that this all what I have, all the salary and all the property, money, possession, everything belongs to God, and out of which God is giving me so much, and only little He is taking for Himself, for His ministry and for His word and for His evangelization, that attitude is so appreciable, and God will honor that attitude. But if you have an attitude that you have a lot of hard work, and your hard work produce a lot of money, out of which you are so generously giving something to God, then that is a wrong attitude. That is so selfish, and that shows that you are taking the ownership of all what you have. That is dangerous for your property and finance. You will not, then the protection of the property will be lost. The protection depends on who is the owner. If Jesus is the owner, everything is safe. If you are owner of your property, then it is always vulnerable, is always open to attack from the evil one. Let's close our eyes and sing together the offering.